the whole idea about justice is very much about keeping and sticking to what I refer to as the collective agreement. Culture is really an agreement among people saying, this is how we are going to conduct our affairs. This is how we're going to live together. This is what our belief system is going to be all about. This is the language we're going to speak, and so on. The Western culture has been superimposed on Aboriginal people. So when it has been erased, then a person is walking around without culture. That person becomes acultural, you know. I prefer to say that person becomes a cultural blank. See? And when you're a cultural blank, then you really don't know what is right and wrong. You don't begin to know what is proper and improper, and so on. Culture is taught. It's not instinctual. And when you're a cultural blank, you simply operate on expedience.
Corrections has come a long ways in the last few years. I think in particular when they started building the healing centers such as beside us still. And because there is a tremendous amount of need, I think, in the bureaucracy when it comes to our people, because of the high rate of incarceration, the problems associated with the communities, the dysfunction within communities, the areas they need to change, and what should be done to do a lot more healing than it is now. So there's just sort of issues that are out there right now. It's I think sometimes it's overwhelming for people.
There was an awareness at the board that there was a real need, especially in our region because of the high number of Aboriginal offenders, for something to be done which took into account the Aboriginal cultures of the region. We began doing elder-assisted hearings in our region in January of 1992. We started out with one institution, with Drumheller Institution, and then gradually we've built it so that the elder-assisted hearings are available in any of the federal institutions. Our expectation is that the parole officers will make the offenders aware of the elder-assisted hearings, of that option.
Through the training that we did, and also through the communication with National Parole Board, is that they accepted our model, our circle model to be used for replacing the National Parole Board hearing. The authority still is maintained by National Parole Board, but the process has changed. The Sacred Circle is a decision-making process which brings the sacredness back to a decision-making process. Also, we bring the humanness to that process.
There was not a very keen appreciation for, I think, the values and the traditions, and I believe somewhat the lifestyle of some of the people that some of the Aboriginal people that they were trying to make a decision on. I think with the elder assisted panels, there's a recognition on both parts, both by the National Parole Board, and I think also by the Aboriginal offender appearing before that there's a recognition there that the elder is there. It changes it from that quasi-legal process to more of a sharing, participatory decision-making process. And I always believe that just by sheer virtue of the physical setup of the room, the positioning of people in a circle, the removing of the tables, those things were very significant as well, because it changed the dynamics. There was a panel that appeared, and for the Aboriginal offender to come before that panel was a huge, I think, power imbalance, extremely stressful.
So I think in elders is more sensitive. There's more. We're there for the offender, and that's the way we're supposed to be too in a normal panel. I would say in generally that that they're more successful. At least, you know, when we go around, it's the person's not. They're not being bombarded with questions, being interrogated. In the circle, it's more. Everybody participates in the circle. It's much more effective. I think it puts the offender more at ease.
You get a lot more information out of inmates this way with the non-confrontation, I find. They tend to speak a lot more in depth and a lot easier, more easily for them.
We've always done things in a circle. No one was above anybody. And that's where the strength comes. We're all bonded and we can talk. And we're given each our turn to talk, the whole circle. And this way we share, we give strength to each other, we learn from each other, and all these things happen. We had our own problems, but we also had a way to solve our problems. We were a whole community, segments within that community. We had our lawmakers, we had our peacekeepers, we had our tribunals, we had our spiritual and worship, medicine healers. So when someone committed whatever it was, all of these people got together. They formed that circle and they sat with them. And sometimes some of that stuff would be cured with herbal medicines.
Parole is about gradual release into the community. It's the board members making a decision as to the very best time in the person's sentence to release them into the community under supervision so that they can just gradually be accustomed to being back out there. The board members can set conditions on the person's release. A really common condition is that of abstaining from substances, for example.
Drinking is very serious. See, and we have to protect society, and board members are taking a chance here, giving you another chance. Hope you don't screw it up. I also advise you to have a look at your own spirituality, and I'm talking about sweat lodge and elders, because that's who you are, a Native man. There's a very powerful healing aspect to that part, but you have to have the willingness to do that.
Started license to kill? I was drunk.
You've committed a crime, okay? And now the Western system is saying to you, there's something wrong with you. Okay? There's something wrong with you. And so we're going to lock you up and we're going to correct you. We're going to go make the corrections. But after spending, a few months or a few years, they start to say, okay, this person looks like they're starting to learn what the law and proper behavior, lawful behavior is all about. Let us release him on a conditional basis out into the society, because he can learn from society by living among the people what lawful behavior is about. And so we will now conditionally release him out into society, but keep a close watch on him.
Not only is it a parole board hearing, but it is also a part of a ceremony.
two things that the smudge requires us to do is to respect each other in the circle and to talk in an honest way.
First of all, I'm the hearing assistant. I'm not a board member. I don't participate in the decision making today. I'm going to go over something called the procedural safeguards with you that just basically ensures that you've seen all the reports and that your rights have been respected through the process. Okay? Once we get inside the circle, our elder, Joe Cardinal, he's from Saddle Lake. He'll have a smudge and a prayer, if that's okay. Okay? The first thing that will happen is I'll ask your parole officer, Mr. Kennedy, for any preventive security file information and his presentation and recommendation to the board. Then it goes to you. You'll have the first opportunity to speak. And speak from your heart. Talk about some of the things that you've been doing inside here. Talk about your family. You know what you want to talk about, what you feel the board members need to do to make a good decision today. The circle goes around as many times as we need to until you have said everything you need to say and until the board members feel that they have enough information to make a good decision today. Your family will also have an opportunity to speak this morning. The board members are going to want to know what kind of support you're going to offer him in the community. They may have some questions for you about that as well. They may have questions about a number of things, but that will determine that in the hearing. When you're speaking about him, speak about some information you feel that they need to know to make a decision today.
My name is Joe Cardinal. I'm an elder.
I'm Claire Carefoot Sonia. I'm one of the board members that will be taking part in your decision today. What we look at is why you're here. We want to look at what you did to earn yourself a federal sentence and what you've done about that since being here so that you can go back into the community and not reoffend. Okay?
State your facts on that.
My biggest concern is my two boys out there. And I know I make bad choices, relationships, and because of it, not only I suffer, but my children.
Where is life taking you, or where would you like life to take you? Plans, goals?
Counseling that I had when I was a young fellow, you know, I was told that I was a warrior, not to go and fight anybody, but to fight that greatest enemy, which is myself. And I'm thinking about that all the time. You have lost a battle with yourself. And what happened when we lost that battle? What happens? The people around us, like your kids, what happened to them when you lost a battle? And also maybe your parents, your relatives, how happy they would be to see you fight your way back into a good area, where they would like to see you be. These are your people. I would like to ask, how do you feel now when you're fighting your way back? Because we all have to fight.
It's probably one of the hardest battles I've ever had to fight. But no, I know I'm making progress. Like sometimes it's not much. And knowing that, it's a good feeling.
I need my son to become home. He is the one who was looking after it before. And we can help him. We had those kind of things back home. we had an elder.
In our traditional world, when you can come together with your victim at some point down the road, that is the ultimate goal of justice. Both of you can walk away and forget about what happened. Drinking and alcohol doesn't mix with them.
First of all, I'd like to thank everyone for coming today. I think that the best place for you to be, and I can't speak for my colleague, but I think the best place for you to be is at home.
You have to bring out your other self, a better one, to deal with this world now where we are. I know you can make it because you didn't fail yet.
The only bright spot in her life, in my view, are her children. And she constantly refers back to wanting to be a good mom and raising her boys. And I think that's what's the driving force right now. That's what's held her together this long.
When I hear Sonia and I see a really sterling person inside, covered with hurt, covered with all kinds of problems, things that have happened to her that she didn't really ask for. And I think that she would function better outside of this place.
Sonia has found this a very difficult place to be, and prison is not a healthy environment. I think her opportunities are better out there than what we can provide in here for her.
I cannot tell you have to do this and do that, you know. And I'm thinking, that listening to you and you can do it. There's no way that you cannot do it. So with that, I wish you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you. I feel we'll come back here. And work hard up.
Thank you for coming in. It was nice to see you.
Work hard.
Thank you.
After losing the battle with yourself, and fighting your way back to a good area of your life, there's no time for drinking, no time for that, no time for drugs. So I would like to thank all of you that came into this circle this morning, talking circle, healing circle. I would like to thank the Creator this morning for being with us in this circle, the healing circle.
If you're going to live by our rules again, we welcome you back. And we will supply you with your needs. Generally speaking, if he's released into an Indian community, usually the Indian community, welcomes the person back.
Pii-Ki-We is such a warm, loving, receiving someone, calling someone home. It's such a profound word for me.
I not only have to respect myself, I have to respect the people within this circle that I have said, yes, I've made changes in my life, that I want to change, I want to come back home. I want to make right the wrongs that I have done. What needs to happen is that communities have to take ownership of people who are coming back into their communities.
I would like to see a whole Aboriginal justice system, its own, because this does not work for our people. So I'm hoping that Indian communities, First Nations communities would establish, again, they can do it anytime they want. You know, they have other priorities right now, but that they would set up a justice system.
I'd like to see it that we run our own lodges without any government sponsoring, and be able to help our own people to better their lives and not give up on them, give them the support that they need.
The change has been slow, and I'm thankful, and I give credit to the National Parole Board, especially for the Prairie Region, because they represent, you know, Saskatchewan and also my community, is that the willingness for them to listen and to open their minds to an alternative.
A good cross-cultural teaching's got to happen in these institutions. Not just a one-day thing.
Their teachings aren't just for our Chisawak or our offenders. It's for everyone. It's for staff, it's for visitors, it's for the men that live here. When we actually start to look at those kinds of things, we all change.
Working together, building bridges, building communication, developing alternatives is the right way.
Our people are working really hard to bring that about. For our people in the institution, we work very hard as elders in there, and also all the Native people that work in the institutions. It's like we just set down our life, and that becomes our life, to bring them home. Pii-Ki-We, you know, Pii-Ki-We, Pietoski, come and work. Pinishokamage, come and help. We're all needing to help.